Alright, so here's my practice sheet. We've had plenty of time to practice. Some of us have even done maybe 2 or 3 practice sheets. So hopefully we are now ready to print on our final piece of paper. Remember, this is our radial background that we did a little while ago, but I think we are ready to start printing on it now, okay? So this is exactly the same idea as when we were printing our practice sheets. We want to make sure that the arrow that we drew stays in the center and is pointing towards the center every single time we print, okay? And once we place our printing plate down, there's no going back, okay? We can't print it twice in the same area. All right, so we need to make sure that every single time we print on our final piece of paper, we are going quick enough, applying our paint fast enough to our plate so it doesn't dry, and we are applying our paint evenly across the entire surface. When we were doing our practices, I saw a lot of us having big globs of paint on our prints, and you can see that happened right here for me, but I learned from my mistake and I was like, oh, okay, so in this area I add a little bit too much paint, so next time I am going to try to spread it out a little bit more, okay? So we really need to be thinking about that stuff while we are printing on our final one today, okay? So I'm just gonna do exactly what we did in our practice. If you haven't seen that yet, then make sure you go watch our Radial Prints project videos. Okay, so as you guys know, we're just gonna cover our entire printing plate with paint, and I'm going pretty fast because I don't want that paint to dry, all right? And it is very messy, as we have learned. We get paint all over our hands, and that's fine. And I just want to look over my plate really quickly before I print it to make sure I don't see any dry areas, okay? That was another thing that we learned while we were practicing, was we saw some areas that just weren't showing up as well as the others, and that's because our paint either dried, or we forgot to put paint in that one area, or we just didn't put enough paint. Okay, so we want to be very careful with all of those things. All right, so I'm just going to look over it really quickly. I think it's all covered nice and neatly, and I'm going to flip my printing plate over, find the arrow, and this arrow needs to be pointing towards the center. So I'm going to start in my top left corner, line it up with the top of my paper and the side, and once I press down, that's it. We cannot pull it back up and try to reposition it, okay? If it's not exactly where you want it to be, it is okay, guys, okay? Ultimately, this artwork is definitely already radial because of our background. So don't worry about making it perfectly symmetrical. If you do make a mistake on your final paper, don't worry about it, okay? All that matters is that you're trying your best and you're not giving up, okay? So remember, after you put your plate down, I'm just gonna massage all the areas on the back just to make sure I'm getting every single little detail onto my final paper. Okay, even all the corners. And once you're happy with it and you are confident, we're just gonna peel it up, and there you go. And I'm not exactly 100% happy with that because some areas are a little globby, some areas aren't showing up as well, but I'm just gonna move on, okay? Once you print it once, you cannot print it a second time in the same area. So I'm just gonna move on to my next print, which is gonna be this one right here. And I'm gonna do the same thing again. Apply my paint, go fast, make sure I spread my paint out nice and evenly, and then I will print. Alright, so I think my paint is pretty even. Let's give it a try. You won't know until you actually print it. I'm just going to flip it over, make sure my arrow is in the center. Line it up with the last print I just did, the top of my paper and the side. Mine is not perfect, I have a little edge, but it's okay because I can't pull it back up. So once it's down, it is down. And I'm just going to massage all the areas to make sure these details, those beautiful lines and shapes that we added onto our design are showing up nice and neat. Once you've massaged it all down, we are going to choose a corner and just pull up. And you know what? I think I'm rushing this too much because I have big globs right there. I can even see those triangles that I drew. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the design. I love those colors like peeking through behind my shapes and my lines. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. So I am just going to go ahead and try my best to apply my paint to my plate nice and evenly, go quick so it doesn't dry. And I'm going to print my last 2 spots and I'll be right back to show you what mine looks like. Alright, my hands are super messy after printing that, but there is a wipe for you to use at your desk so you can just wipe your hands off whenever you want to. Guys, try your best not to get paint literally all over your hands and up your arms. That is not really necessary, okay? While printmaking is messy, that doesn't mean we have to be messy on purpose, okay? In fact, you want to try your best to be neat while you're doing this because we don't want to get paint smudges on our paper. We also want to have as much time to work as possible, and if I notice that a lot of people have very dirty hands, they have paint all over their desk, then we're gonna have to clean up early and we won't have as much time to work on our prints, okay? So just make sure that you are making good choices and trying your best to be as neat as possible and definitely not being messy on purpose. Alright, anyways, see that wipe gets the most of the paint off, and if you still have a little bit, it's okay guys, you can wash your hands the next time you go to the bathroom, okay? But here is my final print. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I love those colors behind this harsh black that we used for the print. I think it makes those colors look even brighter, adds a lot of contrast to our artwork, and it just looks beautiful. And what I've seen you guys do so far on your practice sheets are also absolutely gorgeous. So I just cannot wait to see how your final radial prints turn out. I know they're going to be amazing because you guys are amazing. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.